Hello, my dear children. Namaste and welcome to the next Bio Bites in 15 minutes video for CBSE Class 9 children. Yes, today we are going to discuss epithelial and connective tissues in a very short bite-sized video. Alright, this is Ambika, your biology master teacher right here at Vedantu. Okay guys, so as I always tell you, don't forget to stay subscribed to this channel Vedantu 9th and 10th English. In case you haven't subscribed yet, please click on the subscribe button right now because we are nearing the end of your academic year. And as a result, in order to help you out completely, entirely with a lot of tips and tricks series and whatever else will help you boost your confidence for your final exams, we will keep coming up with more and more. So stay updated. The best way to ensure that is to be subscribed. Okay, so let's get started with a positive quote, just as always we do. Big ideas always have small beginnings. Okay, so every small idea matters a lot. Never underestimate them. And children, by the way, talking about Vedantu Pro subscription also, that's also part of completing your preparation for your final exams. So to check out more about Vedantu Pro subscription, just visit the link in the description box below and the pinned comment and apply the coupon code AMBPRO for the best offers out there. Okay, so starting with epithelial tissue. Now, where does epithelial tissue come? Now, in the chapter Tissues for CBSE 9, I understand that most of the time, the confusion is, I think in plant tissues, meristematic and permanent. Meristematic is relatively simple, but permanent can be a little complex, which is why we have already made a video for that in a bite size. Right. So now coming to animal tissues, out of the 4 types of animal tissues that we have to learn, which are epithelial, connective, muscular, and nervous. I think muscular and nervous are relatively a lot easier and less confusing. But then epithelial and connective tissues can be a little difficult to remember. But actually, in reality, if learned in the right manner, with the right kind of comparison and analogy, you will definitely never forget it. Okay. By the way, also keep in mind that this is not going to be an in-depth video. For learning this in detail, check out our main playlist. Okay. So here we get started with epithelial tissue. Now, just remember that epithelial tissue always is the term that we use to refer to the kind of tissue that covers or protects the animal body. So this would definitely include our skin, which is the outermost covering of our body, and also all the coverings of the internal organs as well. Okay, all kinds of linings inside our body. So we can actually say that it forms a barrier to keep different body systems separate. This is what epithelial tissue is. And depending upon where it would be found, we categorize it under different groups. Just keep in mind that because the function is protection, the chief function is protection, the cells are tightly packed. Okay, this is very important, and they form a continuous sheet. So obviously they can't afford to have any gaps in between them because it's protection. If there is a hole in the protective layer itself, how does it help? Right. So examples are, as I have told you, the skin, the lining of the mouth, lining of blood vessels, lung alveoli, kidney tubules, all of these are examples. So let us now look at the subtypes which are included in your syllabus. Actually, a lot more are there, but what is there in grade 9 syllabus? Let's talk about them. Starting with simple squamous epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium is a kind of epithelium which is very thin, extremely thin and flat, delicate linings which allow the transport of substances. Basically, it is something that allows diffusion, simple diffusion of substances across itself. So if simple diffusion has to be permitted, which parts of your body do you think would have simple squamous epithelium? The best examples would be lining of the blood vessels and alveoli. Remember, respiratory gas exchange and all of that have to occur in the alveoli, between the alveoli and the blood capillaries. So obviously, those linings would be made up of simple squamous epithelium. Anything thicker than that would make it difficult for that kind of exchange. Even the esophagus, lining of the mouth, these are all places where simple squamous epithelium can be found. Okay. Then coming to stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, so just keep in mind that stratified squamous epithelium, this just means layered squamous epithelium. So it is just many different layers of simple squamous epithelium, one on top of the other. Okay, of course, supportive layers would also be there. The main part where you need multi-layered protection would have to be your skin, the outermost covering. Right? So location, we can say skin is the best example for this. So they are arranged in many different layers to prevent damage. It also helps in protection of the body. Imagine if we had a simple epithelium lining our skin, what would have been the case? We could probably have respired through our skin like frogs do, right? But we don't have that. Our mechanism is totally different. Then comes ciliated columnar epithelium. So remember, the word column has to give you the hint here. What are columns? Long, slender structures like this. That's exactly how they appear. And ciliated columnar refers to these hair-like structures which you find. Cilia. Okay, so you mainly find them in areas like the respiratory tract, where the cilia are able to brush up like a broom or a brush. It's able to push substances forward, especially mucus. In order to push mucus forward to clear it, these cilia are very helpful. So this is what happens in ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, now coming to cuboidal epithelium. Now cuboidal epithelium, as you can see, literally they are made up of cube-shaped cells, and they help in providing mechanical support. Okay, cube-shaped. Many cubes close to each other provides a lot of support, right? So you would find them in the lining of kidney tubules and even the ducts of salivary glands as well, the tubes or the ducts of salivary glands. These are places where these cube-shaped tissues, cube-shaped epithelia provide a lot of mechanical support. Then comes glandular epithelium. Again, as the name indicates, it is the lining of all the major glands in your body, which means the normal epithelium, it's just folded inward this way to form a gland. Okay, this is the epithelial lining. It's just folded inward to form a multicellular gland. And it's got what we call goblet cells. And through the goblet cells, these glands are able to pour out their respective secretions. As you can see here, they pour out their respective secretions onto the surface. So most different glands you find in the body would be lined by glandular epithelium. Okay, so that is about epithelial tissue. Mainly, once again, simple squamous epithelium, stratified squamous epithelium, ciliated columnar epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, and glandular epithelium. Okay, think about examples for each of these as well. Now coming to connective tissue. Connective tissue, just as the name indicates, it helps in connecting the different body parts. Okay, so what does it do? Provides support, binds together, and protects tissues and organs of the body. We can actually say that connective tissues are made up of matrix. Now this matrix may either be jelly-like, or it may be entirely fluid, or it may be dense or rigid. Okay, the best examples are blood and bones. I think because blood easiest to remember, definitely we know flows from one part of the body to another. Very good example of connective tissue. The bones as well, your skeletal system, perfect example for connective tissue. But as you can see, there is a difference in the way they are. One is very solid or rigid. One is completely fluid. Okay, so that is the difference in the matrix that makes them up. So these are the different kinds that we must know. Fibrous connective tissue, example for which is tendon. Loose connective tissue, which we would find under the skin. Blood, which is a fluid connective tissue. Then a rigid or a dense connective tissue called bone. Cartilage also, which is similar to bone slightly, but different in the sense that it provides a lot more flexibility. Okay, and then we have adipose tissue as well. So we'll come to the details of each of them, starting with blood. As I have told you, this is the simplest kind of connective tissue in the body. So it's a fluid connective tissue. These are the components of the blood that we have. 55% of our blood is made up of what we call plasma, which is the fluidy matrix. And in the fluidy matrix, we've got the different blood corpuscles or the blood cells. RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. Different kinds of WBCs are lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, basophils, and neutrophils. Okay, and they've got, of course, different functions. RBCs help in oxygen transport. Okay, platelets help in blood clotting, and the white blood cells help in providing immunity or defense in your body. Okay, these are the functions of the different blood cells or the blood corpuscles. Now coming to bone. What does your bone do? Bone, of course, it provides shape and structure to the body. Without your skeletal system, we are just a loose mass of skin and random pieces of flesh, right? Bone cells, which we call osteocytes. Osteocytes are another technical term for bone cells. These are embedded in a very hard matrix, which is composed of calcium and phosphorus compounds. Children, that is very important to remember, calcium and phosphorus. Calcium, of course, I guess you would remember. That is why we say all those dairy products which are rich in calcium, like milk, dahi, or curd as we call it, paneer, ragi, and all of those are very good sources of calcium. Phosphorus is also a very, very important component of bone. Okay, then comes tendon and ligament. Now, children, from my experience, let me tell you, from my experience as a student and as a teacher, tendons and ligaments are one of the most exam favorite topics of this chapter. Okay, mostly for 1 mark only, or probably as a difference between the two of them. So tendons are a kind of connective tissue which link a muscle to a bone. Okay, muscle to bone connection is tendon. So remember it, tendon, muscle to bone. Okay, and ligament connects a bone to another bone. Okay, they are a kind of connective tissue linking a bone to another bone. These are tendons and ligaments. All right, so when I say muscle to bone, it is the connection between a skeletal muscle to a bone. That's what tendons do. Okay, now comes cartilage. Now just remember, cartilage is similar to bones, but then it is flexible. That is one major difference. It is flexible and also smoothens bone surfaces at joints, places where you can actually fold different parts of your body, the tip of your nose where you can feel that softness by pressing it, the external ears, all these parts, even your trachea, your larynx or the voice box, they are all made up of, supported by cartilage. Okay, yes. Then comes areolar connective tissue. Now, areolar connective tissue, I want all of you to think of them as packing material. Okay, so when I say packing material, what exactly does it do? I think I've told you this when I taught you in detail also. Whenever you transport a lot of your luggage when you're moving from one city to another, all those expert movers and packers, what do? They take huge rolls of packing material like those bubble wraps or dry hay or dry straw and all of those random things to fill up inside boxes so that the usually breakable items may be well protected. Your areolar tissue does something very, very similar to that. Okay, so it's a loose connective tissue and it is found between skin and muscles, around blood vessels and nerves, and in the bone marrow. Just in case you've forgotten what bone marrow is a spongy tissue found inside bones. Okay, so what does it do? The function I've already told you, it fills up the space inside organs, and as a result, it supports internal organs and helps in repair of tissues as well. Okay, so fills space and as a result, supports internal organs, helps in repair as well. These are the three major functions of what we call areolar connective tissue. Okay, and also remember, it is a loose connective tissue. Okay, now comes adipose tissue. When I say adipose tissue, just think about the cute, chubby polar bears. Okay, adipose tissue is the kind of tissue in your body which is found just beneath your skin in different layers to store excess fat. So people who are obese or excessively on the chubbier side are said to have a lot of fat reserves in the form of adipose tissues. Cells which make up adipose tissues are called adipocytes. So they are reserves of fats or lipids. Okay, this is what adipose tissue is all about. The fat storing tissue, and as a result, because of the fat storage, it acts as an insulator. Again, think about the polar bear. How come it's able to survive in such extreme cold temperatures without any sort of jackets? It is because it's got very, very thick layers of adipose tissue to keep that insulation within the body and keep it warm. All right, so that is about adipose tissue. So here we go, the session in a bite size. We have discussed two types of animal tissues, epithelial tissues and connective tissues. Epithelial tissues are made up of tightly packed cells and forms the protective covering of the body. Just remember, epithelium, protection. Okay, think about the skin and other linings. That's it. As a result, what would its features be? Obviously, it has to be tightly packed, closely packed, the main feature, right? And the various types also we have seen, which are squamous, which is simple squamous, as well as stratified squamous, columnar, which is pillar-like and may have hair-like structures, which we call ciliated columnar. And one more thing when it comes to columnar epithelium is that the cilia help in brushing forward materials. The column-shaped cells may help in secretion and absorption to a great extent. Okay, then cuboidal, which is cube-shaped, providing mechanical support. Glandular epithelium, which are secretory in function, helping in the lining of the different glands of the body. Then comes connective tissue, which, as the name tells you, connects the different parts of the body. Okay, the matrix of connective tissues can either be jelly-like, as in semi-solid, or fluid, as in the case of blood, or even dense or rigid, as in the case of bone. Okay, then adipose tissue stores fat below the skin and between internal organs. It acts as insulator. And just in case you would like to recall the names of the different types of connective tissues as well, we have discussed blood, bone, ligaments, tendons, cartilage, areolar and adipose tissues. Remember, areolar is usually the most commonly forgotten topic in connective tissues. Just compare it with the packing material, which helps in protection. Okay, yes, that is what it does. So that's about it, children. We are done learning the epithelial and connective tissues in a bite-sized video. So do remember to click on the like button right now if you have found this useful. Please do share it with all your friends, regardless of whatever board or grade they may belong to, because sharing is caring and it's a bite-sized video. So information in a capsule form is what everyone gets from this. And stay subscribed to the channel Vedantu 9th and 10th English, because we'll be coming up with more and more of these. And of course, children, you can continue following me on my official Instagram page as well, Ambika_Vedantu, wherein we will keep coming up with a lot of interesting posts, including stress busters and moral stories and motivational, inspiring stories and a lot more. All right, children, so until we meet again, stay home, stay happy and stay safe. Please do remember to put your comments in the comment section below. Okay, bye-bye.